Hello, my name's Ian Evans. Today we're going to have a look at the Zen software which communicates with the Omron Smart Relays. Now, first of all, you'll need to provide a power supply to your smart relay, and if your computer's not set up yet with the cables you're connecting to it, you'll need to download drivers for that come with the CD. If it's already set up and you're having any issues with communicating is simply, if you've got everything plugged in, ready to go, you can click on Zen, go online, and then transfer from the Zen. Okay. If there's any communication issues, you'll need to just check your port. So check your port setting. Make sure there's a COM port available. Also, make sure the first thing we need to do with go to properties and make sure you've selected the correct relay too that you're communicating with. So if there's a mismatch there, you'll have issues as well. So make sure that's the correct one. Okay, let's have a look at some of the basic functions. Now you'll notice when you look at your relay that you've got 12 inputs and 8 physical outputs. Okay, when I say physical outputs, relays, we do have internal relays, and I'll show you that in a moment. Alright, to start off with, we'll put our first input in. So just with this section here highlighted, we'll just simply call this one start. So type in start, and we've set up our start button, so we can wire our start button into that, which will then turn that on from the field. Okay, now I'll go select the next one, which is 1, and we'll call that a stop. Okay. I can now choose a relay, so an output. Now it automatically opens up with Q, which is Q. If you look on your relay, you'll see Q1 through Q0 through to Q7, which is here, and they are the physical outputs. I can use an internal relay. So if I call this internal. Now also your cursors, you'll see you've got a pencil or you've got a pointer. Now you'll find the pencil's useful. You can actually click on this area here and use your menu bar here to select insert a horizontal line, or you can just draw it in with your pencil. Makes it quick and easy. We can also put comments. Okay. Okay, so we'll put this as start stop function. So it's useful here to describe what's actually happening in your logic for other people to understand. Also, when you come back months later to work with your program, you'll understand you'll remember what you've actually done. Now the software has a simulator, which makes it very easy. So we can actually check the program before we download and test the smart relay. So if we start the simulator. Just going to drag that into position. I need to run it, so click on run. Now because my stop button would normally be wired up and it'll have a stop function in the field, it's not wired up in this case because I'm using the simulator, so I've got to turn that on by right mouse clicking and just selecting the number 4 there. So I've closed that. You can see it's highlighted now because it's closed. So when I press my start button, you'll see that the internal relay lights up. So the internal relay can be used for logic, but you can see down here nothing's turning on externally. So let's change that now. Right. So I'm going to edit this now, and I'm going to use a physical output. Okay, I'm going to call it light 1. Okay. Typo, but we've recovered. Okay, so you can see now it's Q0, which corresponds to the Q0 on the physical output on your relay. Okay, so let's see what happens now when we start the simulator. Okay, you can now see that Q0 has appeared here on the simulator as a physical output. So I need to run that, press the button, and you see my light comes on. So it comes on here and shows here that it's actually illuminating or turning on. So the Q0 output, which I've called light 1, turns on, but it turns off as soon as I release my input, my start button. Okay, so let's fix that. So what we need a hold-in function or a latching function. So if I click on the next column down, next row down, sorry, in the same column as the start button, I'll put a hold-in contact in parallel with my start. So I won't use an input now. What I'm going to do is use a contact off of Q0. So Q0, light 1, the first one comes up, which is 0. So I select that, fill that in for a parallel branch. Now don't forget also to regularly save your file too. So if you're not saving your file, you may lose your information. Okay, now let's see what happens with our simulator. Turn that on. Then let's run it. Okay, let's turn that on now, and you can see that I press the start button, release the start button. So you see the start button is not active now, but the hold-in contact holds that in, or latches. So it can be called a hold-in contact, a latch contact. That holds in and keeps my light on until I press the stop. So then I turn it off. Okay, so let's have a look at some other functions then. Okay, so I'll go down to the next row in the same column, and I'll select another input, but I'm going to use Q0 again. So when it turns on, I'm going to turn on a timer. So my output here, I'm going to select a timer. Okay, so I'll call that timer 1, or let's call it timer 0 to avoid confusion because of our counting systems we use with our PLCs and smart relays, which begins at 0. Okay, so timer 0, and use my pencil to fill that in. The timer's then got it, so that will turn the timer on. Okay, but it's not going to do anything until I use a contact off that timer. So I'm going to have a contact. I'm going to select timer now. So I'm going to come to the timer. This is a contact. This is what the timer is going to do. So I come down here, and I'm going to go minute seconds here. I'm going to select 4 seconds. Okay. Okay, so my timer is going to turn on after 4 seconds, so it needs to do something. So I'm going to use, see, it automatically brings up the queue. So I'll now select this. So I've already used light 1. I can't use that a second time in the output side. So I've got to then click number 1, which is light 2. Okay. So fill that in. So let's see what happens now. Actually, I'll save that first. Then we'll start the simulator. Run it. Press start. Now my first light comes on, Q0, and then after 4 seconds, my second light, light 2 comes on. Okay, and they continue until I switch that off. Okay, now let's have a look at, let's go back, exit the simulator. Right, now let's put another timer in. Okay, see some other uses of timers. So I'm going to use light 2. Light 2 to turn on my second timer. Okay, so I'm going to come here, timer. So yeah, this is timer. We've used timer 0, so I'm now going to use timer 1. Okay, so timer 1, fill that in, and Now we'll put some comments in, light 2. After 4 seconds. Okay. Timer 1. Okay, so I'm going to say timer 1 will turn off light 2 after 3 seconds. Okay, so I've got to put some logic in there to actually achieve that. So I've got timer 1 here. So I'm going to turn off light 2. So I'll turn it off by switching off its timer. So here I'm going to insert a contact off the timer. So I'm going to select timer 1. Okay, I'm going to make it normally closed, so it'll be on. It won't affect the circuit until this timer activates. Okay, so let's see what actually happens there then. So start the simulator and run. Okay, now we start the timer, and 4 seconds later the Q1 will turn on. Oh, I didn't, and then that turns off. Whoops, let me just check my settings there. I made a bit of a blue there. I didn't actually set my timer here properly. I need to set that to 2 seconds. Sorry, 3 seconds, which I put into the comments. So I forgot to set that the 3 seconds on here, which I've done. And my timer there has 4 seconds. Let's try that now. Okay, so we'll save that. Then start the simulator. Okay, and run it. Okay, so this light 1 comes on, light 2 comes on, timer starts, and then drops out light 2, light number 2. So, and you can see that'll keep reoccurring. So each time that comes on, it turns on the timer, which in turn turns it off. So that'll keep flashing on and off. Alright, exit the simulator. Okay, so what we can also do is if we have light 2, so if I select light 2 here as an input to a counter, so I'm going to select a counter. So here's my counter. If I spell it correctly, put a U in there. Okay. Then the counter. I'm going to count to 3. So I'm going to turn off circuit after 3 counts. Okay, so I'll need to put a contact in here off the counter. So the counter's got to come and do something. So there's my counter. I'll need to make it normally closed so it doesn't affect the circuit until the counter energizes. And then I'm going to put 3 in there. So it's going to count 3 times. So what will happen is the light will come on, light 1 will come on, light 2 will come on, the timer will turn it off, it'll come back on, timer will turn it off. It'll do that 3 times. The counter will count that happening and turn the circuit off. Now, also, what I need also to do is put a contact here off the counter. So counter 0, and I've got to select the coil here, and I've got to select counter again, and I've got to use the reset operation of the counter. So that way the counter will reset, ready to run the next time. So I put my reset in there, fill that in, so the counter will count and then reset. Okay, so let's save that and let's see that happen. Start the simulator, run it. Okay, and press the start. So light 1 comes on straight away. Light 2 comes on after a time delay, turns off, and does that. We'll do that 3 times. So at count 1, 2, 3, and then after the 3rd time, it shuts this. This turns off here and shuts the whole circuit down. Okay, so there's the basic operations of your smart relay. We've also got a display there too. We can actually display things. Let's quickly show you that. If I use my light 1, okay, I'm going to have an output here. I'm going to select D. So my output, I'm going to actually display light, so it displays on there light 1. So it's going to show on the screen of the smart relay here light 1. Okay, so we'll fill that in. Light 2, when light 2 comes on, when light 2 comes on, let's put a relay in, and we'll select D. So we're going to go to the next relay. Okay, and I'm going to put light 2. Now light 2 has taken this position here, so I'm just going to bring that down on the screen. So it's going to bring it on the 2nd rung. Okay. But also, what I'll also need to do is when light 2 comes on, I'm going to need to turn that off. So light 2, I'm going to use a display clear operation. Clear the display. Okay. So light 2 will clear that display each time. Let's see. Timer will turn light 2 off after 3 seconds. So I'll use the timer display there when it turns it off. So I'll use timer 1. I think that logic should work for us. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if that works. Okay, so save that. Then start the simulator. Okay, and then we'll run it. Press the start, and you see light 1 comes up on the display here. When light 1 energizes, light 2 comes up on the display, and then it turns off each time it turns off. Light 2 comes back on, see light 2 lights up. So you can use that for displaying anything. You can use it for time of day. You can put anything you want to display in there. What's actually happening if you're using it for your articulation, for your sprinklers. You can tell what which of the displays are currently which of your sprinklers are actually your stations are actually running. Okay, so from there, after you've saved your program, ready to go, you want to download, you just simply click go online. Once you're online, you can then change the operating mode. You'll need to stop if the smart relay is running. You'll need to stop it. You'll then come down, transfer to the Zen, and then after you transfer to the Zen, you can then click on monitor. If you click on monitor, you'll actually you can actually watch the program running as it's being used on your smart relay. One of the other options you got with the smart relay for your inputs here, instead of external inputs, I can actually click on B, and I can use the buttons on the front of the relay. So if I use the start button here, Okay, I use 0, which is escape. Okay, let's quickly run that. You'll see that, run that. You'll see that now my my start button has disappeared from here, because it's now become this button here. So this, I can press the button, and I can physically do this on the actual Smart Relay when I download the program. So you press the start button and it does the same function. Okay, so I could also put my stop button there too if I wanted to. I could put my stop button as 1 or any of those numbers. Okay, that's a quick introduction to the Zen software which communicates with your Omron Smart Relay. Alright, so I hope that's useful. Thank you for listening.